Welcome to Centre Court with thanks to OMF. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian designed and owned OMF and watch sport your way. And of course, Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. I'm Bianca Chatfield and we have a new co-host for you. That is Hannah Kuhar. Now, Hannah, you might know her from the Backcourt podcast, also a commentator for SEN Netball when you're listening on the airwaves. Hannah, welcome to Centre Court.
Bea, thank you for having me. It's such a delight to be with you and to unpack what is shaping up to be an amazing season of netball. I feel like it always is in the SSN World's Best Netball League, but that's why I'm happy to be on World's Best Netball Analysis Show.
Oh, I love this from you. Now, some of you might not know too, Champion Data do a lot of work behind the scenes for us, giving us lots of stats and information throughout games, and also to all of you at home when you're looking at the app. This lady over here also works for Champion Data. So you know everything about the game. I'm going to throw it out there. You're probably the best expert that we can have on this panel.
I'm going to say when the facts are really good when you're watching the coverage, that's me. When they're not, it was definitely the commentators themselves.
Well, let's get into the OMF overview. Watch sport your way. Let's take a look at the ladder and some of the movement that is happening. Now, Hannah, I want to get your take on all of this. Fever obviously continue to keep winning. Now they've got Janelle Fallon-Nemard back. It certainly has popped them up to top of the ladder. They're in fourth position now. They're climbing. Swifts have not moved. And of course, why would they move? They've won 5 in a row, which has been pretty incredible. The Thunderbirds maintaining position. But the Firebirds and the Vixens are starting a small little drop. Do we take much out of the ladder in round 5?
No, I think it is far too early to be putting any significant weight on things. If there was one team that I had to rule out, maybe the Giants, it would be hard to climb the ladder from there. But I think every other team has a genuine case. I mean, the Mavericks, they've had a few tough weeks against the Firebirds next week. Perhaps things could look a little different. But the Swifts, my goodness, what a start to the season. There are only 5 other teams that have had a 5-zip start. But the bad news, if you're a Swiftie, they haven't gone on to win the premiership. So it feels like there's a pre-season curse. If you win the TGC, you can't do it. So T-Birds fans, bad luck. Swifties 5-0. Things going to be challenging there. But you know what? Maybe this is the year to buck some trends and maybe the Swifts or the T-Birds go all the way.
Do you know what? I really like this intel. It's like the old, Team Girls Cup curse that we often hear about, that you can't go on to win it. Well, the Swifts didn't take that out. So is this their year? I mean, they're flying, and I'm sure the Vixens are going to regret all the opportunities that they had to take them down when the Swifts, they weren't playing their best. The Vixens put them under the pressure, but so many mistakes in that game.
Wasn't it just a chaotic match? 23 errors apiece, and those are unforced turnovers, things that in normal matches, you'd be getting those passes off or you wouldn't be throwing the ball out of court, but it speaks to the high pressure, I think, of both sides, albeit I think the front line of the Vixens especially would be regretting some of those moments. I think it was 7 errors to Kira Austin, 6 Hannah Mundy and 5 to Sophie Garben. So that front end, feeling the pressure of that tremendous zone all the way through the court. Because we know sometimes with the zone, you might be able to chip sideways on the first line, but once you get to the end, the cause of fatigue is often the reason why these balls get sprayed out of court and suddenly the feeds don't work as well. So Vixens had their chances. I thought they did look pretty good for the majority of the match though, Bea.
Yeah, they did. Well, talking about that game, let's take a look at our team of the week, because one player I thought who was absolutely phenomenal was Sarah Clow in at goalkeeper. Of course, I love the defenders. She scored 148.5 net points, 9 gains, 5 intercepts, 13 deflections. She almost relished the opportunity to not have to play against a tall goal shooter. She just swung her arm up in the air and really disconnected so many of the Vixens' passes. What do you make of some of the players, though, in our team of the week? There's been some standout performances. Laddie Wilson at goal defence, dominant as well. Cara Conan at goal shooter. It was great to see her against the Giants really take control.
Yeah, isn't it amazing to see Cara Conan take out goal shooter of the week? I think it's so pleasing to see since she's been building all the way through the season. Of course, she's had her yips in the past, and I think every netball fan has wanted to see Cara really embrace the opportunities that she's been given. I think since she put that second super shot in with a bit of celebration at the end, things have gone really her way, and I loved what she did on the weekend. Of course, a career high 56 goals.
Yes.
Like the Nissen net points as well, her best performance. So
And no super shots in those 56 either, which I think is, we all say she needs to take them, right? And she needs to take that opportunity. But the fact that she didn't take one in that number, huge volume for her.
I would almost prefer some of these goal shooters to not take super shots. Know your role, play your role. If you're tall, stick that arm up and know what to do. And I think Kara's doing that really well, where she is agile and she often gets that second phase receive and is happy to come out of the circle. But then she heads back to post and uses that tall frame to get the job done. 190 centimetres provides a really great target. So I think she had a great weekend, and I'm hoping that it continues her stellar form because she's had a great few weeks.
And I think for me, the goal attack position is becoming really interesting across the league. Frew for the Thunderbirds, though, to me, she was the standout. She's getting the job done. She's shooting good volume. She was 18 from 18. And I think most teams really are relying on their goal attack to bring the ball down the court. Yes, they need their goal assist. Maddie Brown always talks about the double-double she wants to see with the volume of goals and also the goal assist and also how much interaction they have on that centre pass. Teams that are struggling at the moment are really struggling in that goal attack position. We talk about the Mavericks. They're really struggling to find who's their right goal attack and actually to have enough players, available in that position for them as well. The Giants, Sophie Dwyer has been off. We haven't seen her play her best this week, but to me, Frew just continues to really play her role in that position.
Frew had an interesting assignment last week, given that her tall goal shooter in Romelda Aitken-George only scored 4 goals in the first quarter. You never see her put up that kind of volume. It wasn't until, I think, round 8, 2024 was the last time she had such a quiet quarter. So crazy numbers, and I'm sure we'll never see that again, or maybe it'll take another year. But when your goal shooter's not getting the volume, then the pressure's on the goal attack to simply get ball through the hoop. So I think Frew, she had a really tough task, but what I'm loving is that she can do both. She can be the reliable shooter and she can bring that movement and gel so nicely. I think Georgie Horges has had a couple of quieter weeks lately, and so Frew is the one to galvanise and bring the team together. So I love what she's doing. Very well deserved goal attack of the week.
And distract the defenders. That is such a huge role of the goal attack, is you've got to take a defender out of that circle to create the one-on-one, allow that easy feed in if it happens. But if the goal attack's just dithering around, as a lot of coaches like to tell us, then they're just allowing the defender just to sit still and not have to do anything. So, all right, there's plenty more to get to. That was the OMF overview. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian designed and owned OMF. Watch sport your way. Hannah, it's now time for the good oil. Thanks to Copperman State Australia's extra virgin olive oil. Now, the Swifts have won 5 in a row. That is a pretty incredible feat, I think, to start off this season. We know when they recruited at the end of last year, they went pretty hard. They got Verity Simmons in, they got Grace Wecky in, they got Shani Lambden in, who to me has been something that, she's been a big game changer for them. Probably not the best game she's played last weekend, but for her and her role that she can play as a wing defence who can really lock down that wing attack. 5 in a row. Do they go all the way? Can anyone take this Swifts lineup down?
Oh, such a great question, B. I think they've played some tremendous netball in the weeks we've seen so far. But what excites me about the Swifts, they still have upside. Things aren't perfect, and I think the Vixens match was a perfect demonstration of they have vulnerabilities. And if you lock down that midcourt, as you said, Shani didn't have her best game in wing defence. The Swifts had to cycle through 3 wing attacks within the space of a half, which goes to show that they're not invincible. If you put enough pressure on that midcourt, particularly, simply Grace can't get the supply in, and if a goal shooter doesn't have ball in hand, then they can't be damaging. So I think that match is going to be studied heavily by the teams of the rest of the league, and hopefully someone can come up with a blueprint of how to defeat the Swifts, given that no one's done it so far.
Well, the test for me comes in round 7. The Lightning will play the Swifts. Ash Irvin up against Wecky and Courtney Bruce to have a crack as well. That I think will be interesting, but the big one, that is when round 9 happens, and it seems like so far away. We're only round 6 this weekend, but that's when West Coast Fever and the New South Wales Swifts play again, because of course they got to play, the Swifts got to play the Fever without Janelle Fowler-Nemard in round 1, and I think that's going to help them out just a little bit in that the next big challenge probably won't come till a bit later on in the season.
It'll be a huge challenge, but one that I also can't wait for, given how the Swifts defenders are coming alive.
Yes.
You spoke about clout. We don't need to tell B about defenders coming alive. You're already excited enough. But I think Sarah Clow's impact on the weekend with 5 intercepts, as you mentioned, so many deflections. She's had a blinder and her other defenders are coming along for the journey. So it will be a good one. Put it red circle on the calendar. Listen to the SEN call of that one because it will be huge.
Well, that was the good oil thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. Now let's hear from this week's local legends thanks to CRT. Farming starts with CRT. Today we hear from Ava from Druin Football Netball Club.
My name's Ava. I play for Druin Hawks and live in Yarragon, Victoria.
Describe your team in one word.
Passionate.
What's your pre-game ritual?
Probably throwing a ball against a rebound net.
What's the best pre-game advice you've received?
Have fun and don't think.
What's your go-to pump-up song?
Future Remix 98.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Having an Oreo McFlurry, especially after a bad game.
What's your game day snack?
Possibly a bag of pretzels.
What's your favourite netball position and why?
Centre, because you can attack and defend.
Love it, Ava. Great work from you. And I mean, Hannah, you are still playing the game. I am absolutely not, but you are still playing the game. You still love getting out there. What's your pre-game ritual?
Oh, B, that is a good question. I think I like to have a quiet, chill day. A nice breakfast, maybe a nap if we've got a later match on a Wednesday night. But if it's a Saturday, you want to get around the girls, get to the courts early so you can cheer on all of the players coming through. And no doubt Ava does that. I used to play with Ava back at Casey Demons.
Okay.
She's also a Gippy star where I play at the moment. And I can tell you she'd be supporting everyone. And getting around the Oreo McFlurry was something I didn't expect to hear. She's so fit and so strong, but everyone deserves some balance. So go Ava, go Druin.
What about your superstitions? Do you have any superstitions before you step out there on court?
I think I'm a bit of a look good, play good kind of gal, but my teammates might disagree when my hair's a bit dishevelled and I've come down ready to play, already looking sweaty. But no, I think if you're in a good mood, that's the secret. Tell some jokes before the game. If that counts as a superstition, then maybe that's where my superstition lies.
And what about the fake tan? We know we've had a few of our local legends talk about the importance of the fake tanning the night before. We see plenty of players have their tan on point come game day in Super Netball. Hannah, where do you sit on the fake tan category?
I think I'm with Kira Austin. It's a no from me. I think netballers are already...
Do you know Kira actually puts it on?
Oh, no. See, Kira, I thought I found a sister, someone else who was happy to just rep the au naturel and be strong in who we are. I think netballers are so beautiful anyway. Just turn up and be yourself is usually my message. But now I've found this out, it feels like I've learned that Santa doesn't exist.
It's just probably not as many layers as what some of the others.
Oh, Kira, come on, my girl.
Well, that was Local Legends. No matter where you live or what you farm, it starts with CRT. Now, I think we need to preview one of the games in round 6. Now, this one to me stands out as a big one. It is the Vixens and the Lightning. This will happen at John Cain Arena on Sunday. Now, the reason this one stands out is because these two sides are so evenly matched. They play a very similar brand of netball. Don't worry about the tall holding shooter because it's not existing in this game. We've got 2 moving circles we've got plenty of versatility and plenty of flexibility. And of course, it's always a bit of a grudge match now that Lizzie Watson, who played for the Vixens for so long, is now playing in the Lightning colours. We're almost used to her being in the Lightning colours. But what do you make of this game and how do you think it's going to play out, Han?
Well, you say almost used to it, but not quite. I think there is still so much emotion and sentiment around this match for the reasons that you said. It's really hard to pick these two teams apart. You even look at the height of, you said, oh, maybe it's not going to be a holding battle, but Ellis, the keeper, 190 centimetres, Conan also 190 centimetres. So it even comes to the physical matchups that these teams are so tight. I think they both threw away a lot of ball in the previous round, so I'm looking forward to the Vixens returning to that clinical Vixens that we've come to know over the years. But I think in 2025 they've started to show that they can be panicked and throw the ball away. that is the cause of fatigue. When they get to the end, you're freaking out, and then you just want to get the ball into the goals. And I think sometimes the Lightning fall victim to the same fallacy. So we'll have to see how these two match up. Is there a particular matchup you're looking forward to, B?
Well, I think depending on the starting seven, so most teams we can predict the starting seven. I don't think we can with this one. I really would love to see a Conan up against Rudy Ellis, but will that happen? Because will Weston go back to goalkeeper, as we've seen a little bit this season? Because I believe Weston will be better on the movement of Cara Conan. Rudy Ellis plays better on the tall holding shooter like your Weckies last week. So I wonder who is going to start in that position. And then when you look down the other end of the court, will Courtney Bruce get the start on a Sophie Garben, or is that when Ash Irvin comes into the game? And I can imagine it will be a Bruce, because I think Bruce will really... She brings that intimidating style, which I really appreciate, because defence is more about bringing the mental side as much as it is bringing the physical side and putting the shooters off. And I think she will try and get into Garben's head early. And what we tend to see, if Garben can start well, she can continue on and play and dominate. If she doesn't start well, then things look a bit dicey down that end for the Vixen. So to me, it's the either end of the court. But there's plenty happening in the middle of the court as well. Eddie on Watson, that is one that I'm sure everyone's going to be looking out for.
Oh, absolutely. And it's easy to forget that this is such a diamond-studded lineup from both sides, where maybe some players have come across, but they also know each other from Australian camps and playing international netball together. So it won't so much be a secret of what's this team going to do, what's that team going to do. I think they know each other's strengths and they know each other's weaknesses, which almost makes for better netball, because you're playing against your besties, but that white line fever for these two sides is so, so strong.
Okay, I'm calling it. This is going to be our first game that goes into extra time.
Oh,
get ready
huge
for it.
call, B.
I think it's going to be that evenly matched. So Sunday, that will happen, the last game of the round at 4 o'clock on Sunday. All right, time now for Struddy's Social Scoop. Netball apparel designed for the next generation of superstars. Style meets performance at Struddy's, struddys.com.au. Now, this week we have a question from Michelle. She asked, which current player, Han, do you think deserves more recognition? Possibly a player that goes under the radar, doesn't get the kudos they deserve, but are continually doing the best job. I think there's a few out there, but who stands out for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you referenced Kate Eddy before in that wing defence position, which I think is always underappreciated, and campaign more love for wing defences out there. But along the similar sort of vein, perhaps Alice Teague-Neeld. I've been a big fan of hers for a long, long time, and I think people over the West are too. She just does such a strong job in wing attack, and most people say, oh, well, no doubt, because she's got a strong Janelle that she can just feed up to. But her numbers are just unreal. She's second in the league for feeds to shot, so it's just great how she gets the volume in. But she's clinical. We've spoken critically about all of the turnovers from the mid-quarters this week. Whether it be Monday, she gave ball away pretty much every mid-quarter. The Swifts having 3 wing attacks, clearly they're struggling to find an option. Alice Teague-Neeld, 2 turnovers over the weekend, and she's playing a volume of minutes and getting the feeds up. So I would love to see her make a Diamonds outfit one day. I think she really, really deserves it. Could this year be the year? I know people will say time's not on her side, but I think the Australian team, it's not a development team, it's a performance team, and she's a performer. So that would be my answer, Shell, Alice Teague-Neeld.
Oh, I love it so much. And of course, Alice, she's a Victorian. She started off with the Vixens back in the day when I was playing. Alice was playing in her first year, and we knew how dominant she was going to be. And of course, that was goal attack. And I think it was been a masterstroke from Dan Ryan to say, take the pressure off yourself. Don't worry about shooting. Play wing attack, because you know the movements well. You know how to feed, and you know how to get that ball right on the edge of the circle. And I think for Alice, what makes me, you always talk about as players, when you're coming through your era to be able to represent the Diamonds, it's actually always on who else is around and dominating in that era. And I think the hardest thing for Alice is there's so many mid-quarters at the moment that are eligible for the Diamonds that dominate in that wing attack position. And so it just makes it really hard for her to find her spot there.
Well, can I propose then? We've got Georgie Horges. She came in and made her Diamonds debut last year, which was so exciting. But could Alice do pretty much the same thing, albeit with an extra level of maturity in the wing attack? Because, okay, maybe she's not fighting out Liz Watson. No one's going to take Queen Liz's position for the time being. But if you want someone who's got that versatile goal attack option, you've spoken about how Alice can do it. Could she be taking the bib off Georgie Horgis?
Well, you know what? I love where your head's at because I would love to see that. I think Alice does deserve it. She's a hard worker. She's been in the game a long time and she knows how to play. And why not give players like that the opportunity? Like, I agree with you. It's about performance for the Diamonds and that's what you want selections to be based on. It's not always the case, but I think that certainly should come into it. So thank you so much for that question. That was our social scoop, all thanks to Struddies. Struddies innovating netball apparel. Make sure you continue to send in your questions and we will get to them each and every week. Well, thank you to OMF, Watch Sport Your Way and Cobram Estate Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. A big thank you to you, Hannah. Now, if you haven't checked out the Backcourt podcast, make sure you do that. Where can people find it? Is it all your podcast places?
All the podcast places, all the social media places, the Backcourt.
So you can catch Hannah on that. Enjoy the netball for round 6 this weekend and we will be back for another show next week.